Hey, what's up everyone? This is Deez, and I've had a few requests to do painting videos, so since I'm painting the Gelgoog right now, I thought this would be a great opportunity. This video is going to cover the first steps, which are sanding and getting rid of seam lines and whatnot. So, why sanding is important is because you need to create a rough surface so that the primer will stick. Otherwise, your paint will scrape off very easily. So, sanding is very important, and is something I usually am pretty bad about doing. So, one of the reasons is I'm really lazy, and sanding can take a long time by hand. But I decided to try out using my little Mighty Mouse power sander. It has a few like little attachments, which are good for getting into smaller areas, which is very helpful because you're working with a lot of small pieces. And this little attachment is good for rounded parts. All right, so this runs about 30 bucks at like Home Depot. To demonstrate, I'll start on the little thruster part of the backpack. As you can see, there's a pretty nasty seam line and some little snip marks from the snipping it off the plate. And the rest of it has some pretty nasty seam lines too, which I want to get rid of. Alright, basically all you need to do is just sand that so it's very flat. And if there is a gap of any kind, you can use some putty, but otherwise just sanding it flat should be sufficient to conceal it. So here's the power sander at work. You may think it's a little too rough for plastic parts, but it's really not. You have enough control to sand exactly what you want. And doing this by hand, it would take a very long time to sand these parts until they were perfectly flat. A rule of thumb is that if you can feel the line when you rub your finger over it, or not your finger, your fingernail over it, it's not smooth enough. So just keep sanding down until you have sanded it flat. Alright, and you want to just do the same for all the other pieces. Seam lines aren't a big of issue in newer kits, but older kits they're definitely a bigger issue. So you want to assemble pieces the best you can so that you can get all the seam lines. And be sure to sand all the surface area the best you can. And you should be left with something like this. Alright, so the bigger sections are pretty easy. What I do before I sand those ones with panel lines is I use this little scribing tool to get the corners and stuff, and then I lightly will scribe out with the Tamiya scriber, just so you don't lose any details. So yeah, the bigger pieces are pretty easy. You just want to make sure you get all the snip marks and stuff on the edges. And yeah, next step is to clean the pieces. What I had done before was a ink wash on this, so to remove the ink, what I'm going to use is this purple power. You can get this at Walmart for like $2.50. And I also picked up some little food containers, another couple bucks. So what you're going to do is you're just going to dump it all into one of these containers, dip your piece, and just kind of scrub it with a toothbrush. If you don't need to remove ink or paint or anything, soapy hot water will work just fine. But most of my pieces have some sort of ink on it, so that's why I'll be using this industrial strength cleaner. It's very good at removing paint, so if you want to strip the paint off of something, just soak it for 24 hours and it should remove it all. No problem. Alright, so once you've sanded and washed all your pieces, you just want to check each one. At this point, you don't want to touch any piece with your bare hands because you don't want to get oils onto them. So from this point on, you just want to touch each piece with latex gloves of some kind. And yeah, you just want to check each piece for spots that you may have missed, and make sure you have sanded the entire surface. As you can see, I've missed a bunch of spots on this piece, and there are some snip marks that I didn't really get. So I'm gonna go back and do this piece again. And you just want to check each piece, make sure it's all well and good. Alright, so for this piece, I have sanded down the seam lines, but there's still a gap. So to fill that so it's perfectly smooth, I'm going to use some putty. Putty is very easy to use. All you do is apply enough and just use your finger or something rounded and just kind of fill in the hole and allow that to dry for I usually give it like an hour or so, but it dries pretty quickly. And once that's dried, all you need to do is just go over it with the sander and smooth it out. A lot of times you'll need to do this 2 or 3 times just to get a perfect flat line, but yeah, so when you paint this, that line will be completely covered. And you just want to check it with your fingernail. Alright, so all my pieces are ready for step 2. Thanks for watching.